everyone, and welcome to Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. I want to tell you, I'm excited just by proximity to the guest who I have today. She is a bad you know what. This sister is an incredible photographer. She used to be a model. She was, she says, one of the shortest models ever with Wilhelmina and with Ford models. And I only say, I don't talk about people as being short, but she says it. The point of it is, even as someone far under 5'9", she had a thriving career as a model. And how I came to meet her was as a photographer. She's an incredible photographer. She shoots many events, and especially weddings and beautiful portraits of women, families, children. So she is Regina Fleming. She has a degree in criminal justice and communications from St. John's University. And her journey evolved, like I mentioned, from runway modeling with Wilhelmina and Ford to becoming an internationally acclaimed photographer. Her notable work has earned her first place at the WPPI Awards for Excellence for both wedding and portrait photography. Her photographs have graced more than 100 magazines globally, showcasing her signature blend of artistry and storytelling. Beyond photography, and this is the proximity thing, she is a passionate advocate for women's empowerment and fitness. She is a certified wellness coach, but also she's a Guinness Book of World Records holder. She is a 6-star world marathon finisher. She's gone all over the world running, participating in marathons in Paris, Berlin, Tokyo, and the New York Marathon 9 times. Yes. So let us extend a warm welcome to Regina Fleming. We're going to hear all about her career, her many dreams that she has had that she has turned into a reality. I'm so excited to talk to her right now. Please welcome Regina Fleming.
Hey.
Hey. I said, look, if I stand close enough to you, maybe I'll feel like a marathon runner too.
Yeah, you'll be running through osmosis, you know.
Yes. I mean, so for those of you who could see this, because this is audio and video, there's a photograph where you have arms full of medals that you have won. And this is not like, you know, the kids who get to have a medal just because they participated. This is because of reaching a level, right?
a level of completion, a level of dedication and commitment. I say every medal you see there tells a different story. Every single medal tells a story, and they're all very interesting. I don't have a favorite yet, but I'm just saying that I'm an accidental runner. I didn't even like running, and how I came about.
So how did that happen? I wanted to start from the running part because it's just such an unusual thing for a woman of a certain age who you certainly appear to be timeless. And I think that has a lot to do with how you tend to your body. And so you're an accidental runner. How did that happen?
Well, I'm going to go back a couple of years before I started running. So way back when I was modeling, if you look at any of your old Essence magazines, golf magazines, fitness magazines, I was always showing women how to work out. Now, at that time, I would work out once and again. You know, I think I was like blessed with a certain type of look. I look like I work out every single day. But fast forward to now, I was still working out occasionally. I would work out enough, but not like I am as a runner. Every season, I just said that I wanted to reinvent myself. So there are 4 seasons in a year. So I would reinvent myself and pick something different to do every season. It could be knitting. It could be something else. And this season, I was looking through a magazine with a friend of mine, and I saw all these women with tutus on and looking happy. And it said like women's run at Central Park. Now, I'm not a runner. And I said, well, this looks like fun. Let's do this. And the rest was kind of history. My girlfriend decided she wasn't going to do it. And since I already paid for it, I said, I'm going to do it. Had not trained, didn't even know you had to train. I knew nothing. The same way people approach me all the time, the same way people send me how they begin. I was at that stage. So when I Googled this race to find out when the actual date was, it turns out I was 10 days out of that race. So I called my nephew, who is uh, uh, like a track star, and he said, "Hey, you need to get sneakers." My sneakers had to be 20 years old. So one, I had to get sneakers. Two, I started to Google it, and it said like Shape Magazine half marathon. Now, I had no idea what a marathon was. Forget about what a half marathon was. And then when I look at it, it says how to train for this. I said, wait, I have to train? Like, what does this even mean?
And you have 10 days.
10 days. So what happened? I had the sneakers. B, I looked at everything online and I made my own schedule. And I got on the treadmill and started like jogging on the treadmill for 9 days. And on the 10th day, I finished a half marathon. And at the end of the marathon, with my girlfriend screaming and everything, and I see people walking by and everyone's walking by, and I'm like, where'd you get that medal? And they're like, you have to go over here and get a medal. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about finishing times. I didn't even know that they have cutoff times. Like you have to finish by a certain time to get a medal, or you get a did not finish. I mean, right. I didn't know you were supposed to drink water. I didn't know you're supposed to stretch. I knew nothing.
So were you in pain after? Were you in pain after, Regina?
No, I think it was a combination of just because, like I said, I worked out, but I wasn't a runner. You know, I was a weightlifter. I lift weights, strength training, yoga, Pilates, that kind of workout. But I wasn't a big cardio
You were
person.
taking care of your body. You just weren't
100%, right. Mm-hmm. But I was so happy. I think it knocked out all of any pain that I would have had. I was so excited that I finished this. I had no idea what would happen, but the next words out of my mouth was, I'm going to run the New York Marathon, not knowing what it takes to run a marathon. And I did, like 5 months later.
What year was this? When did you run your first race?
2015.
Oh, it's been a while. Mm-hmm.
So this will make my 9th year.
Good. Yeah. And so I want to go back because you said something that's interesting to me, that every year you pick something to do. And I love that idea, Regina, because a lot of times people, A, are so focused on work that all they do is work, or B, especially if they're single, they just go home, or maybe they go out to the bar, right? But a lot of people are kind of reclusive and don't put themselves into interesting experiences and mix it up. And you're saying that you were mixing it up every year.
I am that person, listeners. I am that person that if you say, I want to travel the world, I want to leave my job, I want to change my career, I want to do something. I call myself the passionate pusher because I'll push you up the cliff. I'd be like, go, do it. Like, we don't know how long we will be here, and eternity might be different. It may not be a sax. We may not wear clothes. We may be floating around on a cloud. Who knows? But while we're living here, this is a big world. In between college and my modeling career, I was a flight attendant. I flew around the whole world. I feel like there's so much life to live. And I never wanted a boring life. All right. My first summer job I had when I was 14. Every single adult who was in this hospital that I worked in, this department called utilization, those are the people who check and make sure that your bills are correct, and make sure they charge you all the money for that one aspirin. They look miserable. And I said, I never want to be like that. I was 14. So I've always chosen things. I've always chosen to be interested and curious in different things so that you grow with that. I wanted all wisdom to come from all different areas. And I never wanted to be bored, right? So I was always looking for something exciting, something I could do.
Where do you think that comes from? Like, talk about your early childhood. Was there any influence from your youth that gave you that push?
I think it was, the Bible says that God gave some people one talent. Remember that story in the talents? You can translate that loosely to what it is. I think he gave me a lot of talents. And I mean, they use the word talents. It could be, I call it seeds, right? Running was a seed. Whenever I speak to people, I said, I never knew that this seed was inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to water this seed. And next thing you know, I'm running around the world. I never knew I could be a runner. I never knew I was a runner. So I think about how many seeds are put inside of people that we don't nourish. We don't know. And how do you know? Just try something. Try painting one day. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. Wasn't it Grandma Moses who started painting at 70? I mean, like, listen, a lot of things are possible.
A lot of things are possible. So let's talk a bit more about the running. You were the accidental runner. You literally ran into it and got the bug, right? After you started running for a while, did you ever work with a trainer to like fine tune your running capabilities, or has it always just been this gift?
No, I didn't work with a trainer. I became a trainer. During the pandemic, I got certified as an RCAA trainer. So one of the reasons—
What does that mean, RCAA?
Whatever it stands for, like running cross, who knows? But it doesn't matter. What matters is that running. So it made me a coach. That's what it stands for. You know, I became a coach. I coach myself. All the material that I got from that, from being certified, showed me like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. I run with clubs. In those clubs, I learned so much from everybody. There's so many people who run faster than me. A long time ago, I wrote a poem. I can't remember the entire poem, but I said, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the slowest, but I'm still a runner. And you learn, you know, when you're coming off an injury and I'm running slow, I learn from the other people who run slower. When I want to learn to run faster, how do you run faster? You run with people who are faster than you. You know, running is it's hand in hand with life. I find so much of my life with running, right? So I believe how you do one thing is how you do all things. And if that's it, you know, the dedication I could put here with running, dedication I could add to my life, you know, things that I don't know, I can learn. Running's teaching me a lot of new ways of living. I apply that to my other life, you know, same thing with my business.
In the running life, let's talk there a little bit more before we go to other parts. Now, in addition to these marathons and going around the world and all, what is your running schedule? Every day?
Let's see. Yes. But the amount of running I do changes. If I am training for a marathon, there's a lot of hours I'm putting out there. If I am like last month, the month of June, the whole month of June, guess what I ran? 1 mile a day. I was running speed. I was learning how to do speed. So I would run as fast as I could. It could be one day I'm tired, it's a 10-minute mile. Another day I'm not so tired, it's a 7-minute mile. But I was just learning speed. I don't have any marathons. I'm not starting my marathon training until next month. Then I can put in all these hours per week. So every day changes how much I run, but I do run every day.
And the international races, marathons, how did you get involved in that?
So one day, so before every marathon, the New York Roadrunners is in charge of the marathons and the races in New York City. And when they have the marathon, they have a big like expo at Jacob Javits, which is a big convention center in New York City. And I was walking by one day and I see Abbott, and I walk over and I see the most beautiful medal I've ever seen in my life. Because now, you know, forget diamond rings, I need medals, right? So as I see this medal, I start talking. I said, what is this? And they tell me, hey, there are 6 world marathons. If you complete them, then you become a 6-star finisher. Just think, 1% of people in the entire world complete a full marathon. Less than that finish all 6 world marathons. Now you say, why? A, you have to be able to take off from work and travel. B, you have to be able to finish a marathon. C, you have to even get in these marathons. You get in these marathons by different ways. Sometimes it's a lottery. Sometimes you have to qualify. Sometimes you have to run a certain speed. There's so many ways that people don't get in. It's very hard to try. It's very hard to get into these marathons. So that that was a blip in my head, like, wow, and then I just decided, like, if I'm going to go for something, I'm going 120%. It wasn't just like, oh, let me do a local race. No, let me try and run every world marathon. And that's what happened.
And you did it. Over what period of time?
Well, believe it or not, it takes people years and years. I mean, I hear people who've been trying to just even get into certain marathons. They've been trying 8 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? So it's hard to get into these marathons. I had gotten into all the marathons in like 8 months because marathon season is spring and fall, and the pandemic came. So from 2019 to 2020, I would have been done. I would have finished all the marathons. 2020 comes in. I had one left, and that was Tokyo. And because of the pandemic, Japan closed their borders and didn't open up until last year. And that was, so I had to wait 3 years, praying I didn't get an injury, 3 years still running, 3 years still training, 3 years. So,
and then you did it.
And then we did it. Yeah.
All right. Hey guys, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. Aren't you excited? I am. We're talking to Regina Fleming. I feel like I'm a marathon runner. I'm not, but what happens? See, here's the thing, Regina. The purpose of Dream Leapers, the purpose of this program, this part of the Dream Leapers platform is to bring people on who will inspire you to leap into your dreams. And that is exactly what you're doing. Like, look, you're inspiring me to move. I don't have the goal of marathon running, but I've gone back to walking. You know, I was walking a lot, then I injured myself and had surgery and couldn't. And now I'm back. And listening to you is like, yeah, and I'm back with gusto, back with speed, back with more precision. And I love that you have so much enthusiasm, because what that does is to let other people know they can have enthusiasm too for whatever it is in their lives. So I want to go to another part of your life. This is going back to the early days. I too was a model when I was a teenager up until I was about 25, never full time, but you know, I did it, and it was a lot of fun. And I was one of the shorter people at 5'9".
Oh
like
my God.
It used to be the cutoff, 5'9". If you're not 5'9", you couldn't do it. And so I love that you. How tall are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, my cards for Wilhelmina and Ford read 5'6". 5'6". All right. So with some heels on, I am 5'6". Without
right.
4-inch heels, well, you know.
Well, because I know you and I have stood next to you many times. But and by the way, model cards, are they? It's the fantasy of the truth, right?
It is. I like
but
that.
The fact that you had enough confidence to put yourself out there to even try means a lot, you know. And this is way before you were modeling, way before inclusivity.
Yes.
That was not a thing. Although, you know, well, so I'm from Baltimore. My mother, who said she was 5'4.5" when she was at her prime, was probably 5'3.5", but she always wore at least 3-inch heels. My mother modeled. You know, in local towns, you would have smaller people model. And but you did it at two of the biggest agencies in the world.
That's true.
How did you, tell us about that day you walked in the door and got that first job, if you remember?
So, do you remember way back in the day? Okay, we're dating right here. Do you remember when Janet Jackson was Penny on Good Times? I remember being like staring at her going, wow, you know? So representation does count, right? Because I saw Penny. I saw Karen Alexander on the cover of a magazine. Then I saw Gail O'Neill, right? And these are all brown girls. And I said, like, why can't I do this? Like I said, I'm a passionate pusher. I even push myself passionately. Like, you go for that. So I knew I was a storyteller, right? So I knew I had like dreams of entertaining in a way. And I said, you know, I can do all of this. And then I started working with commercial print agents, because you can be any height as long as you just had the look and the personality and you had some talent. And some of those commercial agencies got me to work for a company for showroom modeling, where I met a really good friend of mine, Lisa. And then Lisa looked like just like a model. Lisa got with Wilhelmina. She told Wilhelmina. And the other thing was, I didn't look like everyone else. Everyone else, you know, all the Black girls had long hair. My girlfriend, Elena, said, who's now like a, I don't know, 9-time Emmy Award winning makeup artist. She was also a hairstylist. She cut my hair into a short cut, like a Halle Berry cut. And my girlfriend, Lisa, said to Wilhelmina, hey, I know the most beautiful Black woman ever. And they said on a Wednesday, hey, come in and see us. And I did. And that Friday I started working. And that's what happened. And Jenny was my booker, and Jenny was well known in the business. And even when I walked in, all 5'4" of me, the photographers would look at me, but once they saw I was Jeannie's girl, they were like, okay, she must be somebody. And and
that brings up something else, Regina. And like, you know, I like pulling out these gems for folks. You need to have somebody who has your back. You need to have somebody who can stand up for you in the room, who can be your cheerleader. Yep. And when you have that, and you have more than one as you bounce along the road of life, you aren't alone. You know, you have that protection and that push and support. All of that is so important.
Oh, like all of it. You know, it's just so funny. Just before this, I was looking up. So I think it was 1999. I was the cocoa butter girl, and that ad ran. They kept bringing it back. It kept running, it kept running, it kept running. You know, I think about all the things that I had done, you know, and in all my career, because when I finally left Wilhelmina, I was like, okay, you know, my time has come to stop modeling. And that's when Ford heard I was free. Now I have my first letter, my rejection letter from Ford. It was 10 years earlier. Ford was like, oh yeah, well, we're not, no, thank you. And now when I speak to people, I show them that 10-year period, I have my contract. So there's no overnight success. That was 10 years of becoming a better me, you know, in every single way.
Also 10 years with a very good agency. Wilhelmina is no slouch agency either, right?
Oh, so listen, not at all.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how that whole thing moved. And it was that was one of the reasons that I became a photographer.
Right.
The only time I saw an African-American photographer is when I worked for Essence. I'd never seen anybody, you know, when I did any, and I've done like, I don't even know how many, like I've done every ad, I've done everything, beauty, books, magazines, runway, everything. But I'd never seen that. And I worked for Essence, and that was the first time that I worked with.
That's so interesting because, you know, I was at Essence for a long time. I ran fashion for a number of years, and we worked very hard to identify Black talent, including photographers. So I have a very jaded experience because, look, I went to Howard University. I started my career at Essence. And so I was surrounded by Black creatives. And I hear this all the time, Regina, that's an unusual experience. That is not what most people have. And I'm so grateful that I met so many talented Black creatives as I was beginning my career, just to know, like, we really do exist, and we have to support each other.
Yes, it's interesting. I still carry, I remember carrying around my foundation. You know how we all had to have our foundation. I remember when someone sprayed water in my hair, and I was like, no, you know, like, you don't do that.
You mean when it was straightened?
When it was straightened, yes. Yes. Oh my God, you know, so yeah, okay. It was a lot. It was a growth period for everyone, but you had to be really good. I felt we had to be extra good at knowing about yourself and the confidence that it took to even be a model, right? I've walked in where they said, like, just openly, like I was too dark. And I was like, okay, there we go. So you have, I think all of this though is what makes you, I felt like if you were ever a model, you had more rejection than anyone would have in their entire life. And for you to believe so strongly in yourself, you can't rock me about me, right? My confidence for me is beyond. And I think partly it's because of personality, and the other part is because of experiences.
You know, when you say that, I remember I credit a lot of my confidence in that way to my family, because you know they were very strong and very clear that we had to inhabit our beauty from the inside out, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that was it. And I remember when I started modeling was in the early 80s. Well, actually before, no, it was when I was 13, before that. But in the early 80s, let's just say this, when the original, and I say this with love, when the original drag queens were everywhere, right? And the makeup was flawless, and it was, you know, that 80s makeup. I sat in a makeup artist chair for a fashion show, and this queen, which is what he called himself, looked at my face and said, "If I have to do this much contour on your nose, that means you need a nose job,
Oh no.
Mary." But you know what? I didn't get a nose job. I said, "Child, first of all, the way you contour, you can take my nose off my face and put it somewhere else because you know how to paint." But it was my family, you know, I heard my parents in my ear, "No, you're beautiful the way you are. You do not need to change." And I think in this industry of image, it's so important to have people around you who celebrate you for who you are. And
Exactly.
I do think that it's gotten a little bit better now because of inclusivity, but even that is tricky because I think even with that, people aren't always told the truth. You know, the everything goes doesn't necessarily include being healthy all the time. And I think that's important too.
That is very important. You know, um, I'm also a vegan. I became a vegan like 10 years ago. Um, and I went to a nutritionist and I wanted to know everything that I could find out that we need to make us healthy. You
Mhm.
know, I knew that at the time when I started running, I was a vegan and then I started running. I knew that I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to feel healthy, and I wanted to know, like, what do I eat to for speed, right? To keep up my energy. What do I need to eat so that my bones are healthy, that I'm healthy? Because I wasn't drinking milk, right? I wanted
Mhm.
to know everything. And by being a vegan, I think it made me really read the back of every package of anything that enters my body. And I eat for nutritional value, I eat for energy, and it's 80-20, 20% I eat for fun, vegan fun, and then just to eat. But I became very aware. I think that what you do now, for the most part, is how you will age, right? It's how you will keep going. We don't want high blood pressure. We don't want diabetes. People say to me all the time, Regina, I don't have time to exercise. And exercise doesn't mean running a marathon, everybody. It means doing what you enjoy so that it's not even a workout. That 24 hours in a day. I'm like, well, do you have time for dialysis? That's 3 times a week. Do you
Ooh, that
have
is so
time? I
real.
know that's
But that's
so
real.
so
That's real.
yeah, and just to feel good. When you wake up in the morning, you want to feel good. Yes, things happen to everybody, even people who run marathons, even people who eat right. Anything can happen to anybody. But if we take that off the table, let's just do things that's going to make our bodies feel good. Let's keep our mind active, because that's an exercise too, exercise in the brain. Let's go. Certain foods go straight to the brain, right? We want to be clear. We want to remember our history as well as things that just happened 5 minutes ago.
Mhm.
So I think if we change the way we look at how we eat, and then you wonder, like, someone said you shouldn't eat this or you shouldn't eat that. Sometimes you got to eat what your body says that makes you feel good. Regina may love sugar, but my stomach doesn't like sugar.
Right.
Okay. So sometimes I
When
want
you
to,
have alignment,
that's
that's when it works. Hey
mhm.
everybody, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are talking with Regina Fleming. She is dropping knowledge right now about how we take care of ourselves. And I think this is really, really important to hear because you're talking, Regina, about what you put in your body, where it goes, and what that does for you for life, right? And I just have a friend who recently passed away
I'm
from
sorry.
dementia.
Oh,
And that's one of the hardest things to see and I'm sure to experience. And there's some research now about what you eat having an impact on the mind and on the potential to get dementia. Nobody wants to get a disease like that, and yet we don't always pay attention to what we put in our bodies and what impact that may have. Just tell us a couple of things that you recommend to eat that maybe are fun and are healthy.
Okay, so this is what I would say. I know a lot of people like, let's say, sweet things or ice cream or something like that. Make yourself a smoothie, right? Put in all green things, and then add an apple, a pear, and my secret weapon are chia seeds. Those teeny tiny seeds give you so much energy. If you're saying like, oh, I don't have any energy, put some chia seeds in anything you eat. You don't taste them, they're there. You know, they said that like the Aztecs used to build pyramids and climb and go for days with just that and water. These seeds are so powerful. The Garden of Eden, whether you believe in that or not, just think that if you ate like you were, everything was natural for you, you know, fruits and vegetables after you clean them yourself, right? It gives you so much, what is that? Not only energy, but it makes your skin age differently, right? It makes your body feel, when I wake up in the morning, I pop out of bed. I feel good. I'm not lying there like, oh, I got to get up another day. I am grateful that I feel like this, right? One of the reasons I went vegan is because my stomach was bothering me. I think it's just that everything that's in our foods, my body just did not align with that. And I had to find out what's the best way for me to eat. You know, they said that you can test your blood and it'll tell you can eat for your blood type. Didn't work with me. It said my blood type needed to eat meat. Meat never did anything for me. It just disturbed my stomach. It disturbed my energy. So, you know, I'm okay with that, not having meat. But I would say like a smoothie would be something that people can make and you can change it up every single day. Think about a salad with every color you can put in it. When I eat something that's red, I'm like, okay, this is vitamin A, or this is an orange, this is vitamin C. What is it going to do for my body? How's this going to help me? Yes, that 20% you can have fun with, but that 80% is your foundation, your base, leading so that you don't have high blood pressure, which seems to be rampant, right? We don't want to have a stroke. You don't want diabetes either. You know, you don't want to lose toes and then your eyesight. I get DMs, I get text messages, I get phone calls every single day about people asking me questions about working out, exercise, what to eat, how to feel better. And it is a joy when I hear people say, hey, I did this one thing. And you don't have to change everything. Maybe change one thing. Say this Regina person told me to do chia seeds. This Regina person said, start eating Brussels sprouts, dark green leafy vegetables, right? Start getting more sleep. Forget about eating, get more sleep. Sleep will save your life. Exercise 20 minutes a day. Walk to your car, walk back, walk down the street, get off the subway. You know, you don't have to run, but 20 minutes a day can save your life. I just read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, but I read that for every 20 minutes you work out, it gives you three more days of life. Well, get to working out. How about that?
I love that. Okay, I want to switch gears now and talk about you and photography.
Oh.
You know, I've seen you at countless events. And by the way, like you said, you started in photography because you hardly ever saw any Black photographers. Let's talk about women photographers too. Very, very few of any complexion are out there, you know, actively working, at least comparatively. And you are on the scene shooting events. You have been awarded for shooting weddings, portraits, including portraits of children. These love moments is what I think of them as well as, you know, the red carpet moments are interesting because a lot of times people are awkward. And so you also have to help them.
That's true.
Picture if they're like, oh, what do I do now?
Right. And you in action. Yes, you see me guiding people, you know, making sure that they look their best, right?
So
Um,
talk about choosing to get into photography, and what do you love about it the most?
okay, so a couple of things. One, I absolutely loved black and white photography. I would look at those photos from the 1960s. I didn't like what was happening to black people, but I loved how it was captured. That you had creatives there, photographers, letting the world know what was going on, and the black and white just told so many stories. Everywhere you look at a black and white photo, you can see a different story. So that was always in my head. I went to high school for arts and humanities, and that always stayed here. And then when I decided as a model, and a couple of things happened, I would see some photographers, they would understand this beautiful complexion I have, and they would make me look gorgeous. And others, they couldn't get the lighting right. So I ended up going back to school and getting a degree in photography. When I graduated from FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, I wrote letters to three photographers, and Joyce Tennyson is a photographer who said, hey, come in and intern with me. And she taught me so much just in 1 hour. I was amazed. And just business, being a businesswoman. You could be a great photographer, but you can also be a poor photographer. I never wanted to be a starving artist, and she taught me how to do business as well as photography. And she also introduced me to the late, great Gordon Parks. Gordon Parks and I was a muse for Gordon Parks. We were in ads together. We were in a book together. And that right there is history,
Wow.
the late, great Gordon Parks. And it allows me to tell different stories. I started off with weddings because I wanted something happy. I thought I would be National Geographic out there in the world, showing everybody what was going on. But I knew my heart was so soft that it would hurt me so badly. So I said, well, can I take this kind of style of photography and add it to something else? And it became weddings. And after 21 years of shooting weddings, I actually retired from weddings like 2 years ago. And I pop out every now and again, but I call that retired. But I love weddings. I love telling people's love stories. I loved how I made people. I always said I like people to look good, but feel fabulous. And that's what I did. And everything was a story. You have to understand the trust that a photographer has to have with someone when they're photographing them. Even now, I photograph a lot of celebrities. Sometimes I see them and they're bare, and I mean literally bare, right? They're getting dressed, and I'm telling their story of them. They could be in a bad mood. I have to change that mood just from conversation and talking to them and saying like, hey, how about this? You look great. Let's try this. There's a lot to making a photo. There's a lot to telling a story. And they trust me to see everything going on and then to give it back to them through my eyes, right? So they have to trust how you see the world, because that's what I'm doing. There could be 15 things happening at the same time. What makes me look at one thing, and that's the only thing that I may give back to them? Or I may pick 3 or 4 things. Having a modeling background really helps me to understand how people can feel intimidated in front of a camera. It can show me how I had photographers who didn't know how to instruct me. Sometimes when I was modeling, when I first started, I thought I was the Tin Man. I was like moving my arms and legs and like very awkwardly and in an awkward manner. And now I'm like, I do it with ease, right? And that's what I try to show people. People are so grateful because they do feel uncomfortable in front of a camera, and I can lead them into a way that they can be great in front of the camera. So it's something that I absolutely love and I'm passionate about, especially in the African American community. I go out now just looking around Harlem, looking for just little moments to tell stories of like, this is Harlem 2024. I have Harlem, I think I started in 1999 is when I started taking little pictures, and then I put it away, then I come back to it. But I collect history. And like I said, I look at the 60s and I look at all those times and look at all those photos. And now I'm that storyteller. And it's something I really, really love.
When you mention Gordon Parks, it brings me to some things that people have said about you. You just described yourself as a storyteller. He certainly was a master storyteller, and by all accounts, a Renaissance man. And when people learn all the different things that you do, a lot of people call you Renaissance woman, which I understand that a lot of people know one part of your life, but when you put all these different pieces together, it's so dynamic the
And that's
way you
what
have
I
led.
love. I love that. I remember seeing Quincy Jones, right? This is how it came to me. When I'd heard Quincy Jones talking, and when they introduced him, this, I call it the comma effect. It was like Quincy Jones, writer, comma, songwriter, comma, this, comma, this, comma, this, comma. And meanwhile, the other side of the world is like, stay in the same job and get a Go Watch if that's what you want to do. And they still give out Go Watches. Good for you. But that wasn't me. I felt like, why do I have to be one thing? Why can't I have a comma after everything? And I just want a whole list of commas. Regina, storyteller, writer, marathon runner, host, anything I want to be is available to me, right?
I love that.
That's what happened. So now, if I may say,
Please.
can I say one more thing?
Yes.
So I combined a lot of who I am in March. And in March, last year I saw a medal that I'd never seen before. And I asked a friend, what is that medal? He said, that's a race that goes on in Alabama. So this year I put together a relay team and brought them to Alabama, where we ran from Selma to Montgomery, 51 miles. Now, Martin Luther King and John Lewis and Coretta Scott King and everybody else, Hosea Williams III, they all marched with all the people over the bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Yeah.
Over to the steps of the Montgomery Courthouse, so that Lyndon Johnson then signed the Voters Registration Act so that we could vote. So when I heard about this, remember what I said earlier about like how I love the black and white, I said, I'm going to go down there and photograph all of these people who are going to run, and everybody's going to have a story. Everybody's going to have a story. Everyone's going to have a story. And I said, I need to do more. So I flew down to film school and made a movie.
Did you?
I did. We are editing the movie now. And so you're the first to know. Here you go. It's on your show.
Okay, so when will it debut?
I'm praying that we will be finished by October, right before the election, right?
Fantastic.
There's lots of things that happen and lots of people and lots of feelings there about the ancestors, and we're walking in the DNA that Martin Luther King walked, and everybody, everything that has transpired so that we can vote and that we can live a certain way. I mean, I got points from everybody there, and it's going to be really, really, really good.
Oh, thank you for
sharing. You're welcome.
We're gonna hold you up, and because when you say what your dream is, that's how it can manifest. You tell people, and they can support you. And this is great. I can't wait to see the film. Good timing. So hopefully you'll keep the timing going, because you know how films can be.
Yes.
Hopefully you'll keep that timing going. But what a great idea too. I mean, whenever people cross that bridge and they're conscious,
right,
they know the impact and the import of that bridge to the civil rights movement. What I've noticed, Regina, in research that I've been doing recently, there are so many unsung heroes of the civil rights movement. There's so many things that happen that nobody knows about at all. And so all the more reason that the things we do know about, that we keep that light shining on them, so that nobody forgets that the things that happened, the sacrifices that people made, and also how tenuous the road is, because there is no promise that the gains that we made 50 years ago are going to remain if we don't do the work.
Exactly. And I will say this, while I was in Alabama, I went to so many museums there, and I tell you, my heart was broken.
Oh yeah.
My heart was torn apart. And none of us, my team that ran with me, the crew that came down with me, sorority sisters that I ran into while I was there. I met a woman in March of 2023 in an airport who was a runner. She recognized me there and came over to me and thanked me for getting her into a race.
Wow.
So everybody was changed. And I mean, like, you are changed and you are so grateful. We're all working miracles. We're a miracle to be here. That somebody, a great somebody made it through the Middle Passage to have their family, you know, their relatives make our relatives, and all of us are together now. This, that we even exist. Oh my God. I think all of us came back changed people after going through that, and, you know, going to the, what is it now? The Nonviolent Peace Museum, which was known as the Lynching Museum, you know, and just all of that. But for me to be able to tell all these stories,
we can't wait.
And it's for all the people that, like you said, all the stories that I can't tell or we don't know about.
Right.
That's what this is.
That's powerful. And I look forward to seeing it. Thank you for telling us about it. Thank you for sharing your story. Regina Fleming, when's the next marathon?
Let's see, New York Marathon. And then there is a marathon that I'm deciding if I'm going to run it. That's going to happen in Savannah, because I've always wanted to see Savannah. I've been to Savannah once, but not sightseeing. As a photographer, I came in and went right back out, but I want to run through it and see it.
Well, good. Well, continued blessings for all that you do. Thank you for sharing your inspiration with us. Chia seeds, everybody. That's at least one thing you're going to remember.
Yes.
Chia seeds.
And green leafy vegetables.
Yeah, green leafy vegetables.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I do.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. I hope you feel as inspired as I do. Regina Fleming is a force of nature, and she shared all that goodness with us. I feel good. I hope you do too. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.